Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Wellness Warriors. Today, I'm so excited to have a fellow colleague, a fellow breast cancer conqueror, and she's come to be a friend, Tiah Tomlin. And Tiah, thank you so much for taking the time out to be on my podcast with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and to just share with everyone about my journey and just whatever we're going to talk about.
Yeah, well, you're doing some amazing things. I mean, and I love the way that you talk about cancer. You call it cancer.
Yeah.
Right? You don't give it energy, you don't give it power. And you launched a Facebook group called My Breast Years Ahead. You've also co-founded My Style Matters, which is a nonprofit. You also have another program called Kick Cancer. And I'd like to, you to tell us a little bit about that and what you do. And basically, you're a game changer. I followed you. You've got an amazing community. You do some wonderful things for women in your community, and I could really tell that you're a leader in your community. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
So let's start out with how you got on this journey. Not something we all think about, wake up one morning and say, I think I'm going to lead women about cancer today.
Yeah.
It just happened. So tell us what happened with you.
So it actually started with my journey. In 2015, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I did not want to go the conventional route. I didn't know enough about the holistic route to completely go there. And I did get a chance to speak to a naturopath about going the holistic route, but talking to him, the funding, it was just a bit heavy for me.
Right.
And one of the questions that he said to me, I was actually driving to my orientation with the oncologist at the infusion center. And he said, are you ready to say no to chemo? And I just broke down crying. I just started to bawl because, all your life, that's what you've known. And I wanted to be a doctor. I've been working in the pharmaceutical industry. So having that insight and that knowledge all of my life, it was a scary feeling. And two things that my doctor said to me that kind of rocked me. They said the type of breast cancer that I was diagnosed with was the most aggressive type. And they told me I didn't have time.
Triple negative, right?
Triple negative, yes. And they also said I didn't have time. And what kind of solidified things for me is the week prior, I actually felt the lump in my breast. The week prior, I didn't feel it. And so that was a trigger for me to say, how fast is this thing really growing? And so I ended up going the conventional route, but through my journey in going the conventional route, I did a lot of research. I did a lot of studying about holistic therapies, alternative things that I could do, integrative things that I could do to help myself while I was going through it. And so through the journey, I discovered so many gaps in just the disparities and things that they communicate to survivors. And based on the things that I learned, I wanted to give that back to women and men who are going through the journey, because a lot of us don't know. We're not educated about, alternative things. Again, like myself in the beginning, you just know conventional because that's what you've been taught all your life. Exactly. So that's what kind of catapulted me into starting the nonprofit. With the support group, being that I was young, I was 38 years old when I was diagnosed, I went to support groups. Where I live, I'm not from here. And most people that live here in Atlanta, Georgia, they're not from here as well. And so not having family here to really support, my company was laying off at the time, so I couldn't talk about it, I couldn't tell anyone. And I went to support groups and no one looked like me. And I said, we exist. How can I connect with people who understand what I'm dealing with as a 38-year-old woman of color? There's no one, there was no one to talk to, but I knew we existed, not just being a brown girl, but also being a young woman. And so I knew we were on social media. And so that's when I started the My Breast Years Ahead support group. And it's women of all colors, of all races, all backgrounds, all types of cancer, not just breast, and all ages. But the premise of it is for women in the Atlanta, Georgia area to connect and support one another, not just online, but also offline as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I do want to mention something about traditional treatments. People in my community, sometimes they may feel guilty if they, consider chemo or radiation or whatever. But, the position I'm taking now is that, and especially more and more women that I'm exposed to and talk to who've done traditional, my hat goes off to you, because it takes a lot of courage, a lot of determination to know that you're going down a path that may possibly make you very sick, lose your hair, puke your guts out, do all those things. But your determination is that you will get well, and you're willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And so, there's no right or wrong way.
Right.
The right way is what feels best for you, and and what you can do to support your body as you're going through the traditional treatments. And so tell us a little bit about a few things maybe that you've learned that you can share with women in our community that, maybe you're doing traditional treatments, but they're not sure about what they can add on to that to help them get through it.
Yeah. So a lot of it, first it started with, the very first thing that I did is I cleaned my house. Again, working in the pharmaceutical industry, being around chemicals, having an understanding that most of the products that we use are, have chemicals in it that lead to carcinogens and disease and all of the other things. So I cleaned my house. I got rid of every single product that was in my house. Your nail polish, your makeup, your skincare products, soap, detergent, you name it, I got rid of it. Air fresheners, plugins, the whole nine. And I replaced that with everything clean. So that was the very first thing that I did. The second thing is I went out and I bought me a juicer. And I bought a Vitamix. So through my journey, I changed my diet. I juiced a lot. Well, I had my mother to do a lot of the juicing, but I juiced a lot. Carrot juice, celery juice. I did wheatgrass shots as often as I could. And I ate clean, so everything was organic. Any fish that I ate, it was wild caught. Even any chicken. I don't eat chicken now, but at the time, everything was, hormone-free, cage-free. Everything was clean, so I didn't want anything that was not clean. Drinking alkaline water, those types of things. So it was definitely a change in my diet. And then there were supplements. So of course, there was B17, the apricot seeds that I purchased, turmeric, the CBD oil. I also started to rebound. I learned about rebounding. And I had a rebounder, but at the time, having it was just more for exercise versus for the lymphatic system. So utilizing that, I went out and bought a portable infrared sauna. And so I was utilizing my infrared sauna as well. So that was a lot of what I did through my journey to kind of help me, through it, to help mitigate some of the side effects. So that was my starting point.
That's huge. That's a big, big starting point, because you're reducing your toxicity, you're adding more nutrition, you're getting rid of the junk, outside in your environment and then inside in your body. So that's huge. And, one thing that I've learned too, and, we're developing a program specifically for women who do traditional medicine and what they can do to support themselves. Yeah. And, something as simple as fasting for 48 hours, ahead of time can really reduce the effects of the chemo and reduce the tumor much, much faster. Ginger root, ginger tea, that can really help with digestive upsets, coffee enemas, the sauna, the rebounding, all those things can be so helpful.
Yeah.
So what about the emotional aspect? How did you deal with the diagnosis, and emotionally, when you look at your journey, what kind of changes did you realize you had to make?
Yeah. So, it's funny that you ask, because I get asked that question quite often. And I really believe that this battle starts in the mind. Of course, when I got the phone call, I was devastated. You think about everything. You think about your life. Mm-hmm. And, I had that moment of just a prayer, talking to God and just saying, how am I going to do this? And, it started with the conversation of him telling me, get up, get up. You're not going to sit there and wallow in this. You're going to get up and you're going to fight. You have a choice. And my brother had been, prior to my diagnosis, or the diagnosis with myself, my brother had been diagnosed with stage 4 testicular cancer. And so, being that he's doing great, the doctors gave him 6 months to live, and he's doing great. And here it is, almost 7 years later. And my father had a stroke. And so God basically said, you saw what I did for your father. You saw what I did for your brother. Why can't I do the same for you? And from that moment, I started speaking to myself and telling myself, get up. Get up. You're not going to sit here and wallow in it. You're not going to die from this disease. You're going to get up and you're going to fight. And I remember taking a expo marker and writing on my mirror that my faith was my healing power. And again, I believe that this battle starts in the mind. And so that's what it started for me in terms of my emotional healing, just believing that I was healed, receiving that I was healed. And I laughed a lot through my journey. I had to find humor, that's how I deal with things. You have two choices. You can laugh or you can cry. And so for me, I chose to laugh through it, through the hair loss, through some of the side effects. And, we would joke about it. But even though I know it's a serious matter, that's what I needed to help push me through and to get me through. And I also knew that this journey wasn't about just me going through a cancer journey, but it was also for me to help others. And so staying focused on that and knowing that, I have to go through this in order to be able to go back and help other people and to be a testimony to other people. And I prayed, just my relationship with God, that was so important. And again, I had to really see myself as healed. So that's how I dealt with it, because I feel like there's nothing your mother can do, your father can do. It's nothing no one can do, whether you go the holistic route or whether you go the conventional route. Some people make it through and some people don't. Some people have recurrences. So I just had to really just stay on the side of positivity and faith and really see myself through and have my moments. If I felt like crying, I would cry, but I would not stay in that place. I would get myself up and fight.
That's awesome. Yeah. Belief, faith, spirituality, connection with God, our creator. So important. And we find that women who have that belief and know, they can see themselves in the future. They pray, they meditate, they see themselves as feeling that vibrant health and having the cancer journey behind them. It has such a huge impact on your body's ability to heal.
And I would say the other thing too is forgiveness. If you're harboring any unforgiveness, let it go. Let it go, because when you realize it in the big scheme of things, it's not worth it. And so, you hear about this thing called forgiveness and you're like, oh, I'll get through it. And I remember my mother used to tell me, whatever you're dealing with, let it go, because it can create, other issues and diseases and things like that, even cancer. And I would hear her, but, that's about it. You hear, okay, Mom, I know. Right, but when you're now faced with it, it was so easy to just let go. So.
Good. Very good. And another thing that you obviously as being very important is community, because you've created an amazing community. So tell us a little bit about your project, My Style Matters, the nonprofit, and what you do. Sure. I love your little hugs package. That is so sweet.
Thank you. So My Style Matters is a nonprofit that I started. And what we do is we go back and help cancer survivors and educate them on making those lifestyle changes, similar to what I did when I was going through the journey, just to plant those seeds so that they will understand they can do things and empower themselves, that they can do things and have the confidence to help heal their bodies as they're going through their own personal journey. So we give them a care package is where we start. And the care package has everything in it. Like all the products that I was mentioning that I got rid of, we give them those products so they can pretty much get kick-started with making those lifestyle changes, hence the name Kick Cancer. But getting rid of, all of the things in their home, and there's no excuse. So we start them off with that care package, and it's worth about $300.
Wow.
And then we give them educational materials to help educate them on furthering making those lifestyle changes and the importance of it and why. And then we also have a wellness retreat that we invite them to so they then can experience it. So not only are you getting the products and getting the information, now you have an opportunity to experience what it is to make a lifestyle change. So that's kind of our starting point. And we believe in a holistic approach. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times organizations focus on one aspect of the patient, or going through the journey, you're only focused on the cancer and getting rid of that. We also see that there's the emotional piece. There's other needs that you have, such as, hey, I just need somebody to come watch my kids just to give me a break. Or I have to go to the doctor's appointment. I'm a single mom and I, don't have family here. I need some help. Or I need my home cleaned, or transportation services. So we are able to provide all of those things through our community partners for these survivors. And so, so we want to make sure that every aspect of the journey, they're fully covered and they're taken care of. And we treat them like our family. So it's not a hands off, I provide you with a care package and I, move to the next patient. No, we really hold their hand through the journey because we truly believe that no one should ever walk alone in this battle.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, thank you for all that you do. And
thank you.
What sort of, give me an example of what sort of things that are in that care package.
Sure. So we have laundry detergent in there. We have bath soap in there. We have things for their skin, hand soap in there, dish detergent, cleaning solutions. We have, things for their toothpaste, all kinds of things like that in their care packages. And everything is non-toxic.
That's awesome. And do these companies donate this to you, or do you actually have to purchase it?
Yeah, so we a little bit of both. We do raise funds. We do have organizations that will contribute to our care packages. And then whatever we're not able to get through donations and kind donations, we'll raise the funds to be able to provide. And one of the other things I failed to mention is there have been times that we would go to their homes and teach them how to juice. So we do get people to donate juicers that we'll give to the ladies or men that we're supporting, so they can have a juicer at home to be able to juice. So we rally up their families, their children, and we said, come on, get in the kitchen and we're going to teach you how to juice for your loved one.
Good for you. Good for you. So when are you writing a book, Tiah? Sounds like a good story.
Hey, if you know anyone who could help me, I'm all in.
Okay. So if there were some words of encouragement that you can share with women about a breast cancer healing journey, what would you tell them?
Sure. Definitely faith. Faith is so important, and it's okay to have those moments when you want to kick, scream, fight, curse even, but don't stay there. And the next thing is get plugged into a community. I cannot stress the importance of getting plugged into a community. A lot of times when we're going through a cancer journey, we want to isolate ourselves because we feel like what we're dealing with is so heavy. We don't want to pour all of our emotions on our family members, but get connected into a community because we can share information with each other, especially when there's information our doctors don't tell us. We can recommend the right physician to go to. Some physicians, unfortunately, don't have the proper bedside manner. And that doesn't work for every patient, but we can share information. We can share things on, what has worked for us in terms of if they're going conventional and they're experiencing side effects, what is helping them. If they want to go holistic, I have ladies who have gone conventional and they say, now I'm really considering holistic. What can I do? Having that community, we can be able to share things with them and get them plugged into the right resources. But when you isolate yourself, you will never know. No one can help you. So definitely get plugged into a solid community. If you're in the greater, if you're in the greater Atlanta area, My Breast Years Ahead, we're starting a chapter in Memphis. And I'm having other people to reach out to say, hey, how can we start what you're doing in our community? So definitely get plugged in.
That's awesome. Yeah, when it comes to community, and some of my listeners may have heard me say this before, but there was an 11-year study done on women with breast cancer, and they found that those who had community support and learned to manage their stress had a 75% decreased risk of dying than those who did not. I mean, that's pretty significant, to make sure that you're connected with community, because nobody understands you like your sisters who've been through it, so it's so important, which is why, we host retreats. I know you've been to one of my retreats, and Healing Strong is another, great organization that, provides support as well. Tiah, it's been great. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate all that you're doing. And I look forward to connecting with you real soon when we talk about My Breast Friend. So.
Yes, awesome. And if anyone want to connect with us, they can find us on mystylematters.org. They can also find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, under My Style Matters as well.
Okay. And what's the difference between My Breast Years Ahead versus My Style Matters? Are those
So
two?
My Style Matters is the nonprofit organization.
Okay.
The My Breast Years Ahead is kind of under that. It's our support group for women in the greater Atlanta area.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. Well, make sure if you're in that area, connect with Tiah and her group. She's doing some amazing things. She's a delight. She comes from her heart, and I really appreciate all that you're doing. So thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much, Dr. V.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.